is going to explore how loyalty has evolved from simple transactional programs to actual strategic connected experiences, and how teams are turning strategy into action with SAP. Because rethinking loyalty in the engagement era is about building trust through consistent, meaningful interactions across both B2C and B2B. It isn't just about points or perks anymore. It's about creating value that lasts. I am delighted to be joined by two speakers from SAP Emarsys today. Andy Simmons, who's a senior product marketing manager and is a seasoned and marketing practitioner and technologist. He's passionate about helping marketers unlock the full potential of customer engagement platforms and deliver personalized experiences that today's consumers expect. Andy will be joined by Valentin Midkov, who's a senior director for product strategy and GTM at SAP Emarsys. And Valentin leads product strategy with a focus on marketing technology and customer engagement. He works closely with global brands to translate market insights into innovation and help shape the evolution of SAP's engagement solutions. So it's my privilege and pleasure to hand things over to Andy and Valentin.
Very excited to be here with you today to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart and all of our hearts. As Sarah mentioned earlier, we're here to talk about loyalty, more specifically, how loyalty has evolved. And she touched on this. In this environment, loyalty is not just about retention, although that's part of the goal. It's about building trust through consistent and meaningful engagement. And that requires a shift of thinking from delivering transactional programs to being more strategic and having an integrated approach that's built on connected data and shared understanding of the customer across the business. Forward-thinking brands are putting loyalty at the heart of their growth strategy as a core driver of how the business connects with customers and makes decisions. They're moving beyond traditional loyalty programs and embracing a connected system that turns customer relationships into engines of shared value. While loyalty programs are still a really effective tool, it's not just about those points or discounts. It's about creating ongoing engagement where customers evolve from buyers into collaborators, advocates, and long-term contributors to your brand's success. And that shift is happening across both consumer and business markets. In B2C, it means understanding the lifestyle shifts and key lifecycle moments of the consumer to deliver personalized, proactive experiences. In B2B, it's about building trusted partnerships where both sides grow together. And in both cases, loyalty becomes the result of delivering real, lasting value, not just the short-term rewards, but true, meaningful connection. As a personal anecdote, real quickly, I was just talking with my partner at home the other day, and she was sharing the story of a rental clothing company that she really likes. They have great products. She loves the products. They have an awesome loyalty program. But when she talked about this brand, the experience overall wasn't optimized. They weren't really personalizing based on her purchase history or her preferences or profile. The communications were more generic than they were personalized. And what that created was a situation where she really had to do more of the legwork in order to find what she wants. And even though she loves the products and she loves the loyalty program that they have, it was all of these other things that also mattered to her. And so I just wanted to share, listening to that and preparing for this session, it just really, I thought, underscored to me, it's not just about one thing or the other anymore. We have to think about this as a whole. Otherwise, we risk losing that connection with our customers at the end of the day. I want to talk about marketers for a second. Most of us on the call here are marketers. I've been a marketer for most of my career. And as marketers, you're at the heart of this transformation of what the new loyalty looks like. You manage the insights, the campaigns, and the customer journeys that shape how people experience your brand. You know what they've done. what they're doing, and more importantly, what they're likely to do next. You're really shaping that relationship with your customers. And that makes you uniquely positioned to drive loyalty forward and inspire this change with other departments. And that is a critical point because loyalty can no longer be seen as just marketing's role or something that lives with marketing. It has to be embedded across the entire business. It has to become a muscle from marketing to sales to service and beyond. Coordinating those interactions and communications together through systems that keep everything connected. And that's where SAP really comes in. Our goal is, as a technology company, is to help brands turn those loyalty defining moments into repeatable business processes. So they're not just great interactions, but they're the foundation for that long-term growth and customer relationship that Sarah talked about. So how do we bring that vision to life? Well, we've identified 4 key pillars that help you make loyalty strategy practical and actionable for the business. And when you're anchored in these 4 pillars, understanding, connection, relationships, and value, customer experience becomes the system through which you develop both emotional and strategic loyalty and are able to sustain and grow those relationships. Working together, these 4 pillars, loyalty stops being a set of disconnected touch points and transactional engagements, like we talked about. It becomes a living system where every interaction builds trust, every experience adds value, and customers and brands grow together. So as we get into today's session here, we're going to talk about each of these pillars in detail and show how our product strategy and innovation here at SAP Emarsys helps you activate them. So you can build those loyalty strategies and tactics that drive long-term growth, deepen engagement, and deliver real business impact. So let's dive into this first pillar, understanding. This is all about data. Data is the foundation and the fuel of insights, which tell us what matter to customers, their preferences, behaviors, goals, pain points, and needs. But that only becomes truly meaningful when it's connected across the business. Marketing, sales, service, and commerce. When all of these are connected and contribute to and draw from that single view of the customer, you can really start to anticipate those needs, spot the opportunities, and deliver experiences that feel personal and relevant. And in theory, this is great. It might even sound obvious at this point. We've been talking about this, for a while. But in practice, it can be complex to capture and connect all those data points from different systems for downstream decisioning. And honestly, it's only getting more complex as we see, more and more technology out there trying to help and solve many of these marketing technology challenges. So I want to stop talking a little bit about theory and concept, and I want to switch gears. Now we'll hear a little bit from Valentin about how SAP Emarsys and SAP are making this more simple and powerful to connect all these data points. So Valentin, over to you.
Thank you, Andy, and hello, everyone. Building on the foundation that you just laid, let's take a closer look at how these capabilities come to life in SAP Emarsys. We will start with engagement events, where you'll see that we have an active SAP Service Cloud version 2 integration. And then here in the integration monitor, we've already mapped one of the events coming from the SAP Service Cloud version 2 called Case Update. And if we look at the payload, every single attribute here is instantly available for segmentation, personalization, and automation. And speaking of automation, here in this one called Service Cloud Customer Ticket Notifications, we use this engagement event to not only trigger the whole flow, but also I can filter on one or many of those attributes to use it further and steer communication. And then if I move to the email campaign editor, those same attributes would appear as drag and drop personalization tokens for real-time personalization. What if the data I need isn't in the event payload? So this is where Universal Schema Builder comes in. I can create a new schema, map the attributes I need on the fly, and make them campaign ready, even if we don't permanently store the data. Now in the email editor, I can grab a personalization token coming from Universal Schema Builder and drop it into the exact same campaign we just personalized using engagement event tokens. And finally, with SAP Joule, we can tap into external system, for example, like SAP Customer Data Platform. So if I'll open the Joule agent and simply ask, give me a list of all customers whose warranty expired in 90 days. So what happens now is that Joule pulls in the list directly from SAP Customer Data Platform, and it's ready to use here for campaign building. So the value is simple. No matter where your data lives, SAP Emarsys makes it usable instantly, and of course, in the flow of your campaigns.
Yeah, I think that's just an amazing demo. And I think it's a nice example of what we're talking about earlier, how loyalty really hinges on these connected data points across the business and these connected business processes. In this case, the example was really tapping into customer service and kind of warranty and the case information as insight for what to put into the campaigns in the next campaign. But I want to double click a little bit because you mentioned this idea of, no matter where your data lives. Could you elaborate a little bit on what kind of other data sources or systems you're talking about and how that data can be unlocked to drive loyalty?
So when I say no matter where your data lives, I essentially mean that it's not just about marketing or service, as you said, but like if I think supply chain data, that is, I think, a very good example because it can show what's actually in stock or when things are coming back. So people only see offers that can really be delivered. Another one would be finance data, for example, because that can highlight your best customers or even help you reward loyalty based on spend. And then if we switch over to B2B, for example, you can look at things like contract status, like order history, or even renewal timelines. And all of that can drive much more timely engagement. And one thing I'd really like to point out here is that this is not only working with other SAP solutions. SAP Emarsys can pull in data from outside platforms too. So basically, every touch point across different channels, across different industries can be powered by connected and real-time insights. And that's what builds loyalty, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think those are great examples. We talked about this before the session, but really, how data from across the business, maybe even sitting in your backend systems, can be turned into that strategic driver of loyalty, drive that personalization. And I think that really actually leads nicely into our second pillar, which is all about connection and creating that connection. So that's how we turn all of this data and insight into impact. And that's the difference between sending that generic message or delivering a moment that feels tailor-made, whether that's a timely offer, a personalized product recommendation based on the customer's past behavior. Maybe it's a seamless service experience or even a helpful sales interaction when you're on the phone with your rep. These moments build trust and make customers feel seen.
So if connection is about turning insight into impact, the question then becomes, how do we make that connection tangible in the day-to-day work of marketers? And this is where the tools inside Emarsys come in and make it really simple to scale personalization and stay on brand at every touch point. Let me introduce you to the Brandcenter. Here, you not only have access to the entire email template database, but also a library of content blocks that are centrally managed. So in content design, you can see reusable elements that are pre-built for our customers, things like headers, banners, CTAs, or even entire blocks. But you can also build your own custom blocks that you can easily drag and drop into any campaign, and you can decide which channels those should be made available for. And with styling flexibility through things like variables, style sheets, and layouts, teams can adapt content quickly while staying true to the brand. That ensures that every touch point feels connected and intentional. Next, let's personalize using the Product Recommendation Center. Inside a campaign, I can edit a so-called repeatable block and choose a personalization rule. I'll set it to show up to 2 products, and then all I have to do is add the personalization tokens for product image, product title, price, and the URL. So now when I preview for our test contact Sarah Snow, you can see her personalized recommendations popping up into the campaign instantly. But if I needed to refine the recommendation logic further, I can then head to Content personalization rules while I find all the recommendation logics that are available in our system. Those are things like bestsellers, trending items, similar items, or recently viewed. And I can even apply filters like category, inventory, or price. So the result is that every customer sees products that are both relevant and available. And finally, our block content generator brings generative AI into the flow of campaign building. So here I'll open a block and type, provide even more product detail, but in a sophisticated tone. So in one click, when I hit generate, the content instantly reflects that style. That means that the audience not only sees the right product, but also receives messaging written in the tone that resonates with them most.
I love what you showed there. I think there's some of the stuff that people are probably very familiar with, like product recommendations, but also the Brandcenter and the new kind of agentic generative AI sort of generative AI sort of experience that we are starting to see more and more of to help drive that personalization, which we talked about is still, key. I think it's really clear. One of the things seeing that demo that from a marketing user perspective, this is making marketers' lives easier as far as efficiency and allowing them to experiment with some of the new ideas to drive that personalization. From the customer experience side, how do these result in a better experience for the customer and ultimately drive that loyalty for them?
That's a really good question. And I think at the end of the day, loyalty comes down to people feeling understood and valued. So these tools help take personalization past just the surface stuff, but they actually let you get closer to a true one-to-one experience. Because essentially, when every message feels like it was made just for you, that's what builds real affinity. And honestly, consistency matters just as much. If customers see the same level of relevance every time they interact with the brand, that's how trust builds over time. And then there is also the way you communicate. Sometimes that's going to be obvious in literal things like translating content in the right language, but it's also about tone, style, and also preferences, as we saw. So when a brand speaks in a way that really resonates, what happens is that people start feeling recognized. And that is the moment engagement starts to turn into real loyalty.
I love the sentiment that you just shared there, especially the last point, speaking the language of the customer. I think that really helps us tap into that emotional aspect with customers and how they feel about brands. And that really brings us to our next pillar, relationships. So as we've been talking about, relationships and building those relationships are extremely important, but those are built over time. It's not just going to be that one, email or earning that reward and redeeming that one time that is what you gain that customer for life. It's every email, it's every interaction, every campaign that contributes to loyalty. And it's the consistency and the care that turn one-time buyers into loyal fans and lead businesses to deepen the investment with suppliers and their network. People who come back and engage and advocate from your brand. That's what we're trying to get to here. And as marketers, we shape these journeys every day. As we've already mentioned, these journeys don't exist only in the silo of marketing. They span sales interactions, support engagements, commerce interactions, and beyond.
Yep, and I think that's really the point. Loyalty isn't built in one moment. We're not done when a customer joins our loyalty program, right? So it's reinforced across many, many, many of those moments. And to deliver that kind of connected experience at scale, we need automation that adapts to each customer in real time. As we've been speaking about today, relationships are built through a series of consistent connections that in return build trust, keep customers engaged, and also encourage lifetime value. And this is where our automation center comes in. Here in the journey editor, you can see how paths adapt dynamically based on preferences or even predictive scores so that, for example, if a customer is likely to purchase again soon, we can include them in a loyalty upsell path, for example, say on a channel like WhatsApp. This kind of intelligent pathing is how we scale meaningful trusted relationships at every stage of the life cycle. And speaking of WhatsApp, let's look at our conversational channel. For example, Emarsys can trigger a first message on WhatsApp after a successful car checkup appointment. This message would then contain a couple of options for the customer to choose from and also engage them in a conversation. So if they choose, yes, let's schedule it now, we can give them a couple of options for scheduling after 6 months, after 12 months, or at a custom date. Every click is captured as an event, which updates the journey in real time. So service stays seamless, and the next appointment practically books itself. And once the appointment is booked, Emarsys makes it easy to keep that commitment top of mind with a personalized mobile wallet pass. This pass is sent directly to the customer's phone, so the appointment details are always at hand and there's no need for searching through emails anymore. It can include personal information, so personalization is available here. It can include the date and also a URL to cancel or reschedule the appointment. And because it's dynamic, if the appointment changes, the pass updates automatically. This is a very simple, seamless way to keep customers informed and engaged while reducing no-shows and creating a smoother service experience.
Again, another, I think, great demo, really reflective, I think, of where consumer expectations are headed and where, we as brands and marketers need to be aiming. Engagement at the right time, with the right message, on the right channel, wherever the customer prefers to engage. And I know that seems familiar, hopefully. It's a bell that we've been ringing for quite a while now in our industry. But I also love, Valentin, that you were highlighting some of the newer channels that we're starting to see brands adopt, like the WhatsApp and mobile wallet, to stay top of mind and deepen those relationships. I know we're just working with our customer Christ, who's a leading jeweler in the German market, on a rollout of mobile wallet, really to complement their loyalty reward campaigns, helping them identify customers who shop in store, updating their overall profile so they have all that information across digital and in store, but also giving them an easy access to redeem their reward credits and the latest offers with the loyalty pass on their phone. So it's that convenience, that real-time engagement. And honestly, I think, this topic could be a whole session in and of itself, how to use some of those new emerging channels, real-time engagement, conversational. But for maybe just a minute, could you share some other ways that you're seeing brands and our customers kind of use these new channels with WhatsApp and mobile wallet in particular to drive customer engagement and retention and loyalty?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're seeing right now is that channels like WhatsApp and mobile wallet are becoming really important for brands to stay relevant and connected. Because with WhatsApp, it's not just about blasting out updates. It's about having real two-way conversation, hashtag relationships. So customers can confirm appointments, as we saw, can ask a question, they can even make a purchase right there in the chat. And that kind of immediacy builds not only convenience, but it also builds trust over time. On the mobile wallet side, it's turning into more like a loyalty hub, I would say, because instead of it just being a static card, it becomes this living touch point. It can show your rewards balance, it can give you exclusive offers, and it can hold even your event tickets. And that all updates automatically. And the nice thing is that customers don't have to download some new app because it's already in their phone. So it's always there when they need it.
I can speak for mobile wallet. I am an avid user of that, and it's just I really appreciate it when I get I'm able to have that information at hand. Now that brings us to our fourth and final pillar, which is value. Value is the outcome. When customers feel genuinely valued, they don't just transact, which of course we want repeat business. They invest. They share their stories. They refer others. They become part of a community that strengthens your brand. And for the business, that means sustainable growth driven by loyalty.
And I think that's the real win, Andy. When customers feel valued, they give back in ways that fuel lasting growth. But to truly prove the impact, we need to show how those moments of loyalty translate into measurable business outcomes. And I think one of the most powerful things, obviously, we can do is connect marketing activity directly to business outcomes, which means see how loyalty drives revenue. In the AI-assisted report builder, I can ask things like, what are the revenue, average order value, and purchase rate for my email campaigns grouped by campaign category for the past month, where click rate is higher than 5%, and then ordered by revenue. Now, the results would come back in just a couple of seconds. what we're going to see is that across all campaigns, we generated $4.2 million with an average order value of 256 and a purchase rate of almost 0.8%. Looking closer at campaign categories, you see things like free gift with purchase and customized product bundles leading revenue, but notice what happens with customer loyalty rewards. Even though the total revenue is smaller, loyalty campaigns deliver one of the strongest purchase rate at 0.88%. That tells us returning customers are more likely to buy again and often at a higher value. So this view gives marketers immediate proof of how loyalty programs fuel repeat purchase, while finance or even BI teams can take the same governed data set into diverse tools. So we're talking Power BI, we're talking Looker, or even Tableau for deeper margin and also cohort analysis.
I think this is a great example, and this is super exciting to see how this reporting has evolved and is being powered by AI. I know a lot of our customers have been eager to reap the rewards of AI and the power and scale when it comes to their analytics and insights. And I think the demo showcased as well, but how does this sort of natural language driven experience and reporting really stand to benefit marketers and other business users as they measure and evolve their customer engagement strategies?
I think the big advantage of using prompts in plain natural language is really about accessibility. So instead of having to rely on pre-built reports or wait around for IT, marketers can, and not even marketers actually, business folks can just ask the question the way they'd normally say it, and then they would get insights back right away. And that is really powerful because it makes it so much easier to dig in and also follow your instincts and then just explore what's happening. You can compare loyalty versus non-loyalty campaigns or spot trends and engagement over time without jumping through hoops, which we're as marketers used to do sometimes to get data. So basically, what it does, it lowers the barrier to working with data. That means that teams can move faster, do more with less, and also keep refining their strategies. And the real win is that every decision then ends up being driven by evidence and not anymore just by gut assumptions.
It's so key to be able to have those insights at your fingertips in a way that makes it easy for you to take action. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in just about a half an hour here. I want to just take a minute. Thank you, Valentin, for the really practical demos and kind of the insight into the product and the strategy and some of the vision where we're going with all of this, as well as just your excellent perspective on what and how we can reshape and rethink loyalty. And I'll just end kind of where we started, which is the fact that loyalty as we know it may be changing. Some of that true loyalty, as we saw in the preview of our research, might be fading a little bit. That doesn't change the fact that it's an integral part of any company's engagement and growth strategy. The way to foster that loyalty, whether you're in a B2C or B2B business, doesn't just mean rolling out the next wave of your loyalty program, although, hey, that's a great place to continue to optimize. It means putting loyalty and your customers at the center of what you do across the entire business. And it goes back to those 4 pillars we talked about. Understanding customers and their needs through the lens of the entire business. Marketing to sales to service, commerce, beyond. Bringing in data from all of your different systems, whether those are SAP systems or even outside and the other systems that make up your business tech stack. Then connecting with those customers in a personal way across all of those touch points on channels that they want to be engaged with and in a way that's very personalized to them. And that's what's going to help you build those relationships over the long term, meeting them where they are in their buying or browsing journey, and really then taking a step back and taking the time to discover what's working, what in customer engagement activities are leading to those business outcomes, leading to customer loyalty. So you can invest more and turn customers into loyalists, and then turn those loyalists into advocates who actually act on behalf of your brand. So that's it for us in the product session here. We'd love to stay connected, so find us on LinkedIn, and really hope you enjoy the rest of the great Loyalty Masterclass lineup we have for you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Valentin, for that really, really insightful session. I think there were a lot of things to take from that session and think about, but I guess I got 3 key takeaways. One, loyalty is evolving. it's no longer just a transactional program. It's about these strategic, connected experiences. And that's what's going to build trust. And that's what's going to build long-term value that both Andy and Valentin touched on. Marketers are central to this transformation. We are a huge part of this, shaping customer journeys, driving loyalty across all the different touch points. And it extends beyond us as marketers, though, across sales, across service, across commerce, across the different parts of the organization. Because really, to be successful, loyalty has to be embedded across the whole business, supported by the systems that are going to unify and coordinate interactions, using that data to deliver the seamless, personalized engagements. A lot to think about. However, I also came away with a few questions from those sessions, and I thought we might toss a few of those out to Andy and Valentin since we have a few minutes. So I'll give a few here and see who would like to take them. My first one is, as you guys are thinking about balancing loyalty programs and schemes with the overall customer experience design, how do you think about that in terms of building repeat customers and brand advocates at the same time?
So we've talked a lot today about building lasting customer loyalty, and that has to go beyond just transactional engagement. I think we've said that multiple times today already, because traditional loyalty programs are being set up in a way that they create a sense of value exchange and then stand out from competitors. So basically, the idea is to give customers a reason to keep coming back. And sure, earning points, redeeming rewards, or hitting certain tiers based on spend or activity can be effective if they're done well. And that's why SAP and SAP Emarsys have invested in loyalty products and partnerships that connect those programs and the data behind them with the rest of the customer engagement. But what we're starting to see more and more and more is that loyalty is bigger than just one program. It really is about the whole experience a customer has with a brand. Programs can definitely be a piece of that, but ultimately it comes back to those 4 pillars we've seen and we've been talking about. So really understanding your customer, building genuine connections, deepening relationships, and also recognizing where and how value is being created.
I just want to jump in real quick too and add on to that. I fully agree with you, Valentin, and I think talking specifically about loyalty programs, since I know that may be something that many of you are doing today or are considering doing. When we talk about this idea of moving beyond transactional engagement, you can do that within a loyalty program as well. It doesn't need to just be about earning points and redeeming them. You can think about how to make that more experiential. And it got me thinking, actually, this whole process about, what loyalty programs were making me feel more connected and kind of achieving that goal that we're talking about. And when I moved to California, I ended up not too far away from wine country. And as somebody who enjoys a glass of wine every now and then, I joined a few wine clubs to test out what they had. And the one I ended up keeping was actually, not the one that offered me the best discounts all the time or the most discounts. It was the one that really connected me to their winery and the community that they've built, whether that was through events at the winery, in the city where I live, in San Francisco, or, through different partner restaurants and stores. It was that experience that stuck, and the opportunities they opened to me through that club and that loyalty program. And so I was a member of that for quite a while. I think that's what I mean when I say kind of evolving this into more experiential. Think about how can you take your loyalty programs beyond just maybe those earning and spending and discount sort of tactics.
Thank you both. I think what you're both saying is you can't think about loyalty just as a program. You have to embed the customer into everything you're doing as a brand. And then you're thinking about the customer. And if you're thinking about the customer all the time, then you're going to find the customer is loyal. The two feel intrinsically connected to me. So thank you for that. Let's lean a little bit into AI. It's hard not to at the moment, right? But I think it is truly relevant to everything and that all of us are doing really on a daily basis now in terms of how we're thinking about evolving the things we do, doing them better, connecting more efficiently and effectively with our customers, but also still doing that in a very human way. So as AI is becoming more and more embedded into the customer experience, what opportunities do you see for brands to use AI in impacting positively customer loyalty?
Well, listen, I think AI opens up a huge opportunity for brands to deepen loyalty because it helps them make every interaction more relevant and even more personal. So, on one level, it can predict intent and then also the next best actions, knowing when a customer is likely to repurchase or when they might be at risk of churning, even. So, brands can respond proactively to that. But it also enables true one-to-one personalization at scale, which is very important to say here, at scale for product recommendations to messaging tone, even across new channels like we saw WhatsApp or even mobile wallet. And importantly, I think also AI helps ensure consistency so that every touch point feels connected and aligned to the customer's preferences. And I think this combination of anticipation, personalization, and consistency is what makes customers feel understood and valued. And I think that's ultimately what drives lasting loyalty in the end of the day.
So really, AI helps you to empower and engender loyalty if you use it in all the right ways.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up with one more question, and then we have lots more to move on. So one of the things I talked about at the beginning of the session was how we've expanded our thoughts around loyalty and the CLI this year to not just think about B2C, but we're really thinking more about B2B. So, and a lot of what we've talked about so far this morning and this afternoon has been actually B2C. So if we focus for a sec on B2B brands and how they're evolving their engagement strategies, do you see them mirroring what some of the B2C brands are doing, or are they diverging? And if so, how?
Yeah, I can take a stab at that one. So I think what we're seeing is that the line between B2C and B2B engagement is blurring, and I think that's been a trend we've seen over the last 5 years, maybe even the last decade. But you have to remember, B2B buyers are also consumers in their everyday lives, and we now really expect the same level of personalization, speed, and ease that they do when they're shopping on their favorite retail or travel brand. So that means B2B companies are adopting and need to adopt more B2C style tactics, like personalized product recommendations in B2B businesses where they have catalogs of products to be sold, or journey automation, even some of those conversational channels or real-time engagement channels to get those updates. I think where it does diverge a little bit is the complexity. B2B often involves longer buying cycles, multiple stakeholders, and managing account level relationships. And I think this is here again where AI, connected data, and systems are helping brands understand and deliver those timely, relevant touch points, not just across marketing, but again, here importantly, sales and service, because there's a lot more human interaction going on in the B2B sales process. So I think that evolution is really about combining the best of B2C and kind of the personalization at scale that we often see in B2C with that depth and relationship focus that is unique to B2B.
Thanks, Andy. I think that's really insightful. And I think it's a good reminder that the person who happens to be a B2B buyer today in that interaction, perhaps a half an hour earlier, was online as a consumer buying something else. And exactly right. They're going to expect the same quality of experience regardless of the type of company that they are engaging with. So I think that's a really great reminder. Andy, Valentin, thank you so very much for your time and for sharing your insights. I think it's been a fantastic session. Please, everybody, if you'd like to, you can connect with both Andy and Valentin on LinkedIn if you scan the QR codes on the screen. Thanks again, Andy and Valentin. See you soon.